Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So the preview of module 32.5 is here, and it comes with some great changes, especially for the Cleric. There are some dungeon and trial queue improvements, the announcement of Celestial Mounts and Insignias, and there's a preview of a bunch of new upcoming rewards, all of which we can have a closer look at here on the preview server, as the devs have very nicely updated it. So in this video, I'll simply go over all of the new stuff. I won't do any in-depth testing just yet. I will have to wait for another video. Do note, the testing period is only here for 14 days, from the 10th to the 24th. This will bring an update to the arena. This will bring 10 new waves with 10 new bosses, and there's rumored that there's even an additional extra boss. They've gone and upgraded the buff values by 5%, added a whole bunch more like movement speed, action point gain, doubling damage, gaining immunity and shields, and even reviving dead allies, removing revive sickness and more. And what do you get for your efforts? Well, if you complete their new Survive a Challenge round and reach round 25, you can obtain a new title, some bloody footprints, and the Hemovore Gelatinous Cube mount, or any of the previous rewards. We can have a closer look at those. So I believe the footsteps are going to be here. We can go into the running animation, and this is what those blood steps should look like. And then there's the violet blood steps, verdant blood steps, and the obsidian blood steps. As for the gelatinous cube, that's right here, a bloody thing, with the ability of unstoppable force, power and defense, along with just explosive equalizer. So it's primarily just a cosmetic mount, but in terms of its stats, it is a 4-slot mount, with the bonuses of Protector's Covenant, Lionheart's Perseverance, Guardian Spirit and Shepherd's Devotion. In terms of feedback that they're actually looking for here, it's server performance, economy balance, arena rewards, arena difficulty, and of course any additional feedback is welcome. But now let's have a look what they're doing with the Cleric rebalancing. So we've got a bunch of skill changes just here. Now they do say they have collected feedback for Barbarians, Rangers, and Warlocks too. That's all on the Discord server. And so their next module will kick off class changes with the Cleric. So let's have a look at their list they put together here and confirm those power changes in game. Starting off is Anointed Army. This has been reworked. As you can see now, it's simply going to give you a 6% damage boost for its duration without needing that feat, which before only gave 3%. So this is a great change. You can see the exact before and after here. This is the old functionality for the feat for the daily power. They have reduced the duration a little bit, and they have halved the healing. But this alone, the 6% damage boost, is going to make this worth using. But of course, if you're in a min-max group who needs that damage, you may very well still want to use your daily power to actually keep your teammates alive with, say, Guardian of Life or Hallowed Ground. If we look at further changes, there's Divine Glow. So you had the capability for it to reduce the threat and gain divinity regen, and that's changed to still have those two effects, but now also buff your allies, giving them 5% bonus damage dealt, incoming healing, and recharge reduction, but it only lasts 10 seconds instead of 12. This is really good, bringing it back to kind of how it was before. But additionally, Exaltation. It now has the ability to increase the damage dealt of the closest DPS party member within 15 feet by 10%, confirming that we can see it now has that added effect. So already we can see the capability of 6%, 5%, and another 10%, meaning you can boost somebody by 21% extra damage. That puts it much closer in line with Bard. But then we have a small change to GS, just a cooldown reduction. Its main benefit is to reduce the target's damage dealt. We can see on the DPS path it's the normal cooldown, 18.5 with my current cooldown reduction. But if we switch over to the healer, this gets reduced down to 15 seconds. So you'll be able to cast it a bit more often and have a bit higher uptime on it. I still would like to see an even higher uptime, but let's move on. We can see Guardian of Life. This now has the ability to actually revive dead allies. I really want to confirm here if this is actually dead allies, like have you been downed 5 times and are actually lying flat, you can no longer use a scroll, or if you're just downed, because that could be amazing. But you have to like fully channel this thing, which now has over a 10-second cast time. So you can see that animation here. When we finish it, we gain a debuff where we won't be able to use that again for 20 minutes. So it's not something you can just spam, but really adds a cool element and a uniqueness to this class that I think was definitely needed. They do describe here about the debuff, and it can be mitigated by resting at a campfire. We should be able to confirm that, go in the campfire, and the debuff is cleared. So I should be able to cast that ability again, which we can, which means you aren't going to run into that issue of waiting for the cleric's cooldown. But yeah, that makes this class really strong for like newer groups in tough content. Then there's Sanctified Ground. This is a new feat to replace the Anointed Army Well. So your hallowed ground now lasts 6 seconds longer, gains a further 5% damage reduction bonus, and additionally it will now provide a 15% recharge reduction while under its effect, which should be recharge speed. We can then have a look at the Arbiter. They've only done 2 changes. They've increased the maximum amount of divinity that you can gain via Expanded Faith. It's now 300. That's instead of just 150. That should make it a lot easier to properly do your rotation. Still doesn't take away from the kind of necessity to have a gear piece which increases that maximum further, but it will at least help. And then Hammer of Fate, that daily power which was never used, now got a bit of a total magnitude boost from 1650 to 1800. It doesn't look like anything else has changed there, so it's still probably not that great to use. Ultimately, the changes look pretty decent, at least for the Devout. Great to have some extra buff abilities. They're not going over the top, and really awesome to have something to be able to revive people. The aspects they want us to focus on for this Cleric rebalancing is the utility, the Guardian Life's Revive, the gameplay, and the balancing. So let's now look at what they've done to Dungeons and Trial queue improvements. They say here that we should now have a better ability to prepare for those dungeons and trials in an easy to understand format, basically allowing us to set up group buffs and debuffs. When you queue up and don't want any extra information, you can just start playing. The new menu we added can be found by clicking Inspect, giving you a pop-up menu. From there you can see the following information. We can see here, we click Inspect, and this should view for everybody in the group what mount powers you have, what artifact you have, and what summoned companion you have, along with of course what class you are, which you could already see over here. But this is massive. You can click plus to give a bit more of a breakdown of everything, including the companion powers and overloads. Does that align with what they show here? Yes, it does. You can also hover over various aspects to get tooltip information, such as this here. Yeah, that is really good to have. You can just quickly look at your group, see if you need to switch something, are you using the same as somebody else? And yeah, it should make it a lot better to be able to set up for high-level master content, at the very least to confirm what your team's using. The feedback that they're looking for here is Alliance display, presence in Inspect while within 10 people, slot updates within 5 to 10 seconds, mount and companion rarity discovery. Well, it's our intention to have this hidden. Are we actually able to see that? Okay, yeah, it just displays X. So now let's look at these Celestial Mounts and Insignias. What are they doing here? What approach did they take? So you can upgrade them to a stronger tier. They will allow you to boost your item level and the effects of mount powers with the associated mount. While you can't upgrade collars to Celestial yet, it's something in store for later. Reaching Celestial tier marks a new milestone. They want to treat it as an aspect that feels rewarding to achieve, and therefore the upgrade failure mechanism that you know from other refinements has been added to upgrade to Celestial with a failure chance of 50%. So going in game, let's have a look at what costs they have here. So upgrade selected mount, it's going to be 200 mount upgrade tokens to get to Celestial. That's expected, but let's look at the insignias. How much dust is needed? This is where they have that 50% chance. Shouldn't need a moat then, right? Just some pres wards, but that's going to consume quite a bit of powder. It's 2,500 powder, so on average, that would be 5,000 powder if we didn't use pres ward, which of course we're going to do. Let's just try once and we succeed upgrading it. So that's basically going to be the cost with a little bit of extra pres wards. You don't need a coal moat like these guys showed here. You just need a few pres wards and a lot of powder. So that's 20 insignias times 2,500 powder, 50,000 powder required to get them all to Celestial. I'm pretty sure I have that amount, but maybe you don't. Otherwise, it's just something to work towards. In terms of the actual stat boost, it looks like we're getting 250 extra item level, so you will ultimately get 5,000 more item level if you upgrade all of the insignias. And in terms of upgrading mounts, the question is how much bolstered will these give? Do we actually get an increase? We do, 2.5%. And then only 10 of them are going to count, so that's just a little bit more item level here. But the thing is, upgrading your bolster is also going to upgrade your equip power and your combat power. So this is going to be a definite priority. You're going to want to have those 2,000 mount upgrade tokens to get this done ASAP in order to improve these mount powers, because they can have some massive value, particularly the combat powers. In terms of the feedback that they're looking for here, that's the upgrade process, specifically on the chance to fail, and then the balancing, which I would mean the upgrade costs, right? Well, if you consider that they've reduced the costs overall for the lower ranks, it should be near enough the same amount of cost that it would be to upgrade from legendary to mythic, as it will be now to go from mythic to celestial. So for a new player joining in, the overall cost won't be a lot different. You will need some preservation wards, which I think is totally fine. On average, you're only going to spend like 1 preservation ward per upgrade, but then the amount of insignia powder. My problem here, and it is the prime time for them to introduce some account-wide system. They need to make playing alternate characters better. Like, the game has 9 different classes to play, and if you're creating these items with such a big cost, you're basically making it near impossible to play other characters at an endgame level. What I would recommend, removing this upgrade from the exact item and changing that to the slot. I should simply be able to upgrade this slot. And if I use a mount that only has, say, 3 insignia slots, I should still be able to see all 4 slots, but that 4th slot would be locked out from this mount. And then the exact type of the slot would change also depending on the mount. But what you should be able to do is just upgrade that slot. And when you upgrade that slot, it should also be upgraded on all your characters. That way you disconnect this cost from the actual item and just have it on the character sheet. So no matter what insignia I put in here, it should be at the celestial level if the slot is at the celestial level. And that will disconnect the upgrading from the exact item, meaning doesn't matter what insignia I put in here, it will be upgraded to max because I have spent that cost already to upgrade that slot. And again, that slot should be upgraded on all my characters when I do it on one character. And you could do the exact same thing with collars, with enchantments, with even companions. Just upgrade the slot, and once that's done, no matter what you put in it, it's at max. And this will free us up a ton to be able to just customize our builds. And if you make those slots account-wide unlocks, that would be amazing. And we can properly play alternate characters. But let's move on to some upcoming rewards and items. Have a closer look at them. So we have ones from the Future Battle Pass and the Future Lockbox. We can already have a closer look at them as they are available to test. We have the Cactus Hedgehog, Sardina. There is also Pocket Sardina, Vanity Pet, and then this artifact, Bloodthirst Chalice. So looking at this new mount, this is the Hedgehog. Equip power of bonus awareness and stamina regen. That's neat for tanks, although they'll generally use an aura. And then it has a combat power to give shield, defense, and then a damage reflection ability. I guess this can be somewhat useful as long as that shield stacks for mitigation checks, but I don't see it overly being used. It is a 4-slot mount and it has these bonuses just here. We can have a look at the visuals of this thing just here. There you go, cute little hedgehog. The next one is this Twitch Spine. It's a companion with Enduring Guard, so just increasing your defense, and a defense power to whenever you take damage, you have a 25% chance to gain 4% awareness, 4% critical avoidance for 7 seconds, 10-second cooldown. I mean, it's okay, but it's another one of these abilities where it's not up 100% of the time. Not something you can really rely on. In most cases, I wouldn't take this over something that's just going to give me fixed stats. As for its capabilities, it looks like it can not give any team support effects. I will test out later how effective he is in combat in terms of dealing damage. You can of course upgrade him to Celestial as well, and its player bonus gets improved to 4.8% on each. Then we have a look at Sardina, the Flying Cat. It has Enduring Alacrity, so just movement speed bonus, and then an offense power with power and movement speed, so nothing crazy there. With the ability damaging enemies and slowing them with meow, scratching our target causing them to bleed, leaping and diving on our target, so just dealing damage. This is the Twitch Spine companion just here with Anointed Army from somebody on him, and then this is the Flying Cat with also Anointed Army on him, which can be upgraded. And then its player bonus is 4.5 and then 4.8 on the movement speed. Finally, we have the artifact. 2600 item level makes it best in slot to use. In terms of the stats, also best in slot for damage dealers, power, crit strike, combat advantage. As for actually casting the thing, it should drain life from your enemies, dealing some AoE damage. You cause them to bleed for some more damage, and you reduce their outgoing damage by 12.5%. While lesser enemies also have their movement speed reduced. So it's a mitigation artifact. Again, I'm not really sure what content that's going to be too useful in, especially versus other artifacts which can both mitigate and give damage buffs. But that is about it for module 32.5, everything we can see so far. I'm pretty excited about the cleric changes. They actually look really good. Being able to provide a boost to your entire team, I would like this thing to last a bit longer or have a bit lower cooldown, but otherwise you can probably get a pretty high uptime on Anointed Army, lasting 15 seconds, and it gives that 6% damage boost. So ultimately you're giving a total of 11% more damage to everybody, with then an additional 10% with Exalt to the nearest party member, a bit like the Bard's daily power. So it doesn't put you in line with the Bard, you're still going to be behind in terms of buffing, but you do have the cool ability to resurrect people. At least that's how I see it here. You can revive them from death. Again, we need to channel this for 10 seconds, we finish, and we indeed resurrect them. So unless they've fallen off the map, you can fully resurrect your teammates. Up to 4 of them. The worry is the amount of things you could cheese with that. So with that said, hopefully this was somewhat insightful. The preview of module 32.5. Keep in mind, everything's open to change. The devs are actively looking for player feedback on these areas. Nothing you see here is a given that it's exactly going to go through as is. Many things can change, specifically costs and things like that for Celestial Mounts and Insignias, which may be pretty daunting considering how many we need. especially if you play alternate characters or alternate setups. I really hope they can consider adding some sort of account-wide unlock system, or simply changing it so that you upgrade the insignia slot and not the insignia, and then you can put in any insignia there. Then that slot should also be upgraded on every single character I make. And that's an account-wide method they could do for pretty much anything to make playing alternate characters a lot better. But with that said, thanks all for watching, and we'll see you guys around.